I've wanted one of these turntables for a long time now, but the price is always a little more than I can afford. But it turns out that Audio-Technica has introduced a new version of it, which has built-in USB, which I don't really care about, but more importantly, they lowered the price. So I was finally able to get one, and I actually got it in a store. I shopped online for the best price, and I found that one of our electronics store chains here in New Jersey called Electronics Expo had the best price. So I called up my local store, and they actually had one in stock, so I just went in and picked it up. So here it is. This is about as close as you can get to a clone of the Technics SL1200, but at only about a third of the price of the real thing. And it has a couple benefits too. It has 78 RPM speed and a built-in preamp. So let's take a look at it. Well, there it is with the protective cover, which I won't be taking off anytime soon, because whenever I use it I'll just remove the entire dust cover. So here's the Audio-Technica AT-LP120 USB. The previous model was the AT-PL120, which was basically the same thing except without the built-in USB. Otherwise, it's virtually identical. All the specs are the same. They just added USB and lowered the price a little bit. It's a direct drive turntable. It has 33, 45, and 78 speed. You get a strobe, and it is quartz locked, unlike my Pioneer, so it will stay on the correct speed without constant fiddling with the pitch control to get it to the correct speed. But you do get a pitch control if you so desire, either 10% or 20% off of the correct speed. Or even if you have it somewhere like that, you can just hit quartz and it'll drop back to the correct speed without needing to move the slider back to the middle. It can go backwards as well as forwards, which is kind of neat. Here's the fancy tone arm. It's a real professional grade tone arm setup. Nothing cheap or plastic about it. You get an S-shaped tone arm for better tracking, and I can tell right away when I was playing some LPs that the inner groove distortion is much less than I've had with any turntable with a straight tone arm, so it's a definite improvement. The only thing that's not really up to par is the cartridge it comes with. It's a little weak on the bass, and the stereo separation is not really as good as it could be, but I'm working on getting a better one. And I actually tried one that came with a cheap plastic Stanton turntable, and this one does have better bass, but otherwise it doesn't sound as good. So I really just took this out for comparison purposes. So I'll be working on an upgrade and also correct size stylus for playing 78s. So let's turn it on here. You just twist that, and you can see the strobe light come on. And this is fully manual, so if you move this around it doesn't react, and there's no automatic return at the end. You have to do everything manually. Here's the reverse playback. It's probably not good to do that while it's spinning, but it does have an electronic brake. So if you say you're going at 78, look how quickly it stops. So that's like electronic brake. You get a pop-up light here for helping you put the stylus down. If it's dark, you can see it better. And you get all your controls here for adjusting the tone arm and the stylus pressure and everything. You get your anti-skating and your counterweight adjustment. The cartridge it comes with is rather heavy tracking. The manual says 3 to 5 grams is recommended, which is another reason to upgrade it. Right now I have it set to right around 3 grams, which is at the lower end of its rating. And you do get a little holder here for a second head shell assembly, so if you want to swap cartridges, you can just swap the whole head shell, and that's a lot easier than changing out the cartridge itself with those screws and everything, and the wires. And you get your typical hole for the 45 adapter. It comes with a thick metal one, but I prefer the plastic ones. And speaking of thick metal, this thing is a tank. The base of it must be made of solid cast iron or something, because it weighs a ton. I mean, it's extremely heavy compared to anything I've had before. On the back you get the USB output and a switch to turn on or off the built-in preamp, and of course the power cord. And under the thing here, it's actually under the platter, you do get a real voltage selector switch. So even though this is a 110 volt model, you can run it on 230 volts just by changing the switch, which is kind of nice. Another nice feature is that they give you various adapter cords, including this one, which is perfect for connecting my attenuation cable, which I made a video on. So I can just plug this into the cable and then this into the camcorder, and that's how I'll demonstrate some music on this turntable. Here's a dirty and scratched up 99-cent thrift store find here, a Reader's Digest dance album, and it's really nothing special, but I was playing it and I came across this song that I was impressed at how the highs really come through on this turntable compared to my previous ones. So I'll give you a little sample of that. Just plug in the cable here and cue it up. So that is the Audio-Technica AT-LP120 USB direct drive professional turntable, which looks like a Technics 1200 but at a third of the price. So a definite good deal to look out for if you're in the market for a new turntable.